China has been funneling money into Harvard through different channels. According to Harvard's own numbers, since 2022, it's receiving over $60 million from Chinese sources, making China the third largest foreign donor. One example, a billionaire from Hong Kong donated a whopping $350 million. And now the public health school literally has his father's name, T.H. Chen, in its title. Back in 2014, a company called JD Capital, which has ties to the Chinese military, also gave Harvard $10 million. Analysts at the time raised red flags. The donation's purpose wasn't very clear and could pose national security risks. The United States has been facing continuous turbulence recently. Since President Trump returned to the White House, the government has made sweeping changes, many of which have stirred major controversy. One of the biggest shakeups? Trump's crackdown on higher education. In early June, he signed a presidential proclamation directing the Department of Homeland Security to issue an executive order. Within 6 months, all new Harvard students will be barred from getting F1, M1, or J1 visas. On top of that, the State Department has been authorized to consider canceling existing student visas. Hold on, there are over 1 million international students in the US. So why is Harvard the only one being targeted? Trump says international students at Harvard pose the national security risks. He claims they fueled campus crime and sparked a wave of anti-Semitism. Trump also accuses Harvard of having close ties to the Chinese Communist Party, even helping train members of China's paramilitary forces, pointing out that 20% of Harvard's 2024 international admits are from China. Harvard quickly filed a lawsuit, saying Trump's move was just illegal retaliation, not a real national security policy. A federal judge in Massachusetts, Alison Burroughs, issued a temporary restraining order to block the policy from taking effect and paused the visa cancellations until the end of June. While the policy sparked serious anxiety among international students and athletes, with many freshmen and team members unsure if they could have enrolled or compete this semester. Some economists warned that losing international students could cost the local economy at least $2.9 billion in GDP and over 11,500 jobs. But at the same time, it's also forcing us to take a hard look at the foreign influence quietly embedded in American universities. In recent years, China has been trying to expand its global influence by using different tactics to infiltrate other countries. One major way they've done this is by partnering with academic institutions and business organizations around the world. They pour in huge amounts of money and launch joint research projects, tightening the grip between high-level research and red capital. Take Harvard, for example. It was found to have long-standing partnership with several Chinese universities and research institutes. These collaborations covered advanced fields like robotics, aerospace, and optics, and some projects even had potential military applications. According to a Republican congressional report, these partnerships weren't just about academic exchange. In fact, some of the research funded by the US ended up benefiting China's military, like in areas of advanced sensors and navigation tech. Take the robotics work, for example. Sure, it can be used for delivery or logistics, but it also has real battlefield potential, like carrying gear, doing surveillance, or even supporting combat. And those optics and aerospace projects, they can give whoever controls them things like high-precision infrared tracking, optical navigation, or satellite communications. All of that can be seriously boosting Chinese military power. Aside from research partnerships, China has been funneling money into Harvard through different channels. According to Harvard's own numbers, since 2022, it's receiving over $60 million from Chinese sources, making China the third largest foreign donor. One example, a billionaire from Hong Kong donated a whopping $350 million. And now the public health school literally has his father's name, T.H. Chen, in its title. Back in 2014, a company called JD Capital, which has ties to the Chinese military, also gave Harvard $10 million. Analysts at the time raised red flags. The donation's purpose wasn't very clear and could pose national security risks. Honestly, concerns about China stealing tech through research partnership aren't just conspiracy theories. The National Bureau of Asian Research once estimated that tech theft by China costs the US hundreds of billions of dollars every year. A report from the Hoover Institution also pointed out that China targets every corner of the American innovation ecosystem: universities, national labs, private companies, basically using Americans' openness and freedom to scoop up critical tech. And academic freedom in US universities has become the perfect backdoor for China's tech ambitions. The Hoover Institution pointed out that the Chinese Communist Party is aggressively trying to grab and dominate research that's critical to both economic and military power. It's not just about economic espionage or stealing through forced tech transfers and joint ventures. Beijing is also investing in US high-tech companies and taking full advantage of how open American university labs are to get their hands on valuable new technologies. Under this broad strategy of comprehensive tech theft, China has sent large amounts of students and researchers to top US universities, using all kinds of programs and loopholes to steal American scientific breakthroughs and cutting-edge tech. For example, back in 2020, 2 Chinese nationals working at Boston University and Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center were caught with close ties to the Chinese government and even suspected of smuggling research samples out of the country. In another case, the Beijing government used multiple front organizations to funnel massive research funding to a Harvard professor, asking him to help set up a nanoscience lab at Wuhan University of Technology. The professor was later accused of illegally transferring US-based research and tech to China. The Wall Street Journal also did an analysis of around 2,900 US colleges and found that between 2012 and 2024, nearly 200 schools signed contracts with Chinese companies worth over $2.3 billion. Even more alarming, over the past decade, the total value of contracts involving the CCP is estimated to be 2.5 times higher than the publicly disclosed numbers. These money flows have clearly given China serious influence over American universities, tightening their grip of the heart of US higher education. Like we mentioned earlier, America's open and free academic environment gave the CCP a perfect opportunity. But China didn't stop there. It even turned things around by cracking down on speech inside the US and using Harvard to train some pretty controversial individuals. For example, the US House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party once accused Harvard of providing public health-related training to officials from the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps after 2020. And according to the Department of Homeland Security, Harvard's cooperation with that group went on at least through 2024. After completing their training, these individuals were sent back to Xinjiang to help carry out construction and control operations, giving the CCP even greater ability to monitor and manage every move of the Uyghur people. On top of that, lawmakers from both US parties have raised concerns about student groups linked to Beijing surveilling others on American campuses. In April 2024, a Harvard student who interrupted a speech by Chinese Ambassador Xie Feng was forcibly removed, not by security or staff or university officials, but by a Chinese exchange student. Also, the Wall Street Journal revealed that China has sent thousands of mid- and high-level officials to US campuses for executive training and graduate programs, and Harvard has been one of the top destinations. Alumni include former Vice President Li Yunchao, economic czar Liu He, and most recently, Xi Jinping's daughter Xi Mingze, who's been drawing attention online. All of this shows that China has been using Harvard as part of a broader plan to infiltrate the US. And these actions are directly threatening America's academic freedom and campus environment. The truth is, China's infiltration of America's higher education and research institutions goes way beyond just Harvard. This is clearly a full-scale operation. The current clash between Trump and Harvard is actually bringing a lot of this evidence to light, making more Americans aware of what's going on. People can absolutely question Trump's action and look for better, more balanced ways to respond. But we all need to stay alert and aware of the ongoing Chinese infiltration and theft that's happening right now. On one hand, they take America's advantage of America's academic and free speech environment to stir up division and pit communities against each other on campus. On the other, they funnel critical US technology and knowledge back to China to boost their own industries. And the more dependent our universities become on Chinese funding, the weaker your defenses get. Only when everyone understands how deeply China is infiltrating and stealing from us, and is willing to take action to push back, can we protect our academic and scientific systems and the prosperity built on them. This isn't just about international students or universities, it's about our entire country. So what do you think? How can America protect academic freedom while also stopping China's infiltration and tech theft? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Where, oh my god, if you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that like button below. See you next time!